All right. Well, so we just heard from Rose a little bit about her son, also puppies and so on. I actually I scared my mom, Allison, when I was little. She had found me with some shredded poinsettia leaves, and I was just sitting out in the garden or in the yard. Apparently, I don't remember this. I don't think I remember this. I mean, I heard this story so many times, like I visualize it, but I don't think I actually directly remember it. But apparently, I like to rip apart leaves, which is not unusual, and I definitely remember that. I would do that when I was 12 or 7 or whatever. You give me a leaf, I'll sit there and rip it into little pieces. Kind of like, Rose's son would rip the big piece of paper into small things. I didn't necessarily put leaves into my mouth when I was, 12 or something, but honestly, walking down the street, I would grab a leaf off the tree, rip it off the tree, and then just start tearing it up as I walked. Like, I don't really know why. But as a younger child, I put poinsettia leaves, either I put them in my mouth or I ripped them up, and my mom thought that I'd put them in my mouth. Are you guys aware, when I say poinsettia leaves, do you think of anything unusual about that?
Are they poisonous?
They're poisonous.
Apparently they're poisonous. So when you come across your 3-year-old or whatever, I was probably at least 4, if you come across a child with a bunch of ripped poinsettia leaves,
You get scared.
you might get scared. So I don't know that I had anything really, I don't think that she did a stomach pump or any of those kind of things, but I do know that a degree of curiosity is available in every child and every creature at all times. We may, in social interaction, we may get some guidelines and some restrictions, like Rose gave to her son, not to go so far up a tree with other kids of similar age around, so as to promote that they remain in safe activities. So things that are safe for some people in a group are not safe for everyone in the group. So things like poinsettia leaves, if my mom could have, explained to me, she probably did. If I was 4 when this happened, then she probably did explain to me, here are the kind of plants that I do not want you ever putting in your mouth. In fact, let's just stop the whole putting leaves in your mouth thing, except for lettuce or anything I serve you or something. If you find it in the yard, don't put it in your mouth. And
my mom was like that with berries. She'd serve me berries at home, but she didn't want me finding berries growing in someone's yard or whatever, in the street, that they might be poisonous or something if they were growing wild or growing as ornamentals.
The next thing that I thought of as I talked about leaves and when I grew up is poison ivy. So there was plenty of leaves that if I touched the leaf, that it would cause itching on my skin. So I definitely have some experience with poison ivy, not a whole lot, but at some point I wasn't specifically looking for poison ivy. I'd just be going around through a wooded area, and I would eventually learn I do not want this itching to go on for days like I would experience. So I learned to identify it, and my curiosity was minimal. It was I just want to know the curiosity became I want to know what things are unfavorable that I want to avoid. So poison ivy, poison oak, poison, I think sumac is another leaf, but I think the only thing that I know that I would I can't even really imagine what poison ivy looks like, but I think if someone put it in front of me, I would immediately know. It's been a long time since I've walked in those woods where there would be poison ivy. I guess in 2008 or 9 I was in Virginia, and maybe I did at that time get around poison ivy, but I wasn't out in the woods as much as I had been when I was 7. So we have encounters with restrictions, whether other people simply make a request that maybe we don't understand, like why should I not climb trees? Why can't those other kids climb too? From those kind of restrictions that we just basically take on faith, generally speaking, we would take on faith, or restrictions that we understand. I do not want that poison ivy thing to happen again. Or if I had eaten, poinsettia leaves and I had gotten all sick, then I would want to know, how do I avoid that, right? So one
story with poison ivy reminded me of my cousin's son must have been about 9 years old, and he started playing in some poison ivy, and we told him not to, and he was rebellious, so he started taking it and rubbing it all over him, and
wow.
Next thing he wanted to die, and it's so bad.
Next thing he what?
He started talking about, he has a lot of, I guess, mental problems or whatever. He was saying he wanted to die.
Oh, he wanted to die.
So bad. But I'll bet you he recognizes poison ivy now.
Yeah, and I bet that rebel persona also remembered poison ivy.
Yeah.
If let's say a week later or a year later, his parents or someone said to him, "Seriously, I'm recommending that you heed my warning here. You do remember the poison ivy, don't you?" And it's going to become a memorable thing for him. So I remember saying things like, "I want to die" when I had kidney stones. It wasn't that I said I want to die. It's that I was like, this, I want someone to get this out of me, and if there's some risks to my life in the process, I want this to end.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that there was any risk to my life. I mean, I'm just saying, for instance, but maybe he was even being dramatic. If he's a rebel character, then he's probably got a fair element of, trying to attract attention by the rebellion and trying to attract attention by saying I'd like to die or whatever. But that story, as we've continued it, I'm reminded of Sealy Elementary School. A lady from Siam comes and she brings us some food that she's made. And I was a rebel. So she specifically says, this stuff is pretty hot, so be very cautious about how much you put in your mouth. Like, just take a little bit and just, taste it, see how hot it is. And it might get a little hotter. It's not just like hot from the dish. You got to wait a few seconds. Like, try a bite, wait, and then have a little bit more and slowly work your way up. So I'm imagining this is like third grade, something like that, second grade or third grade. So what did I do?
Grabbed a whole bunch.
I put a lot of it in my mouth, and then I found myself in the bathroom at the sink, trying to wash all of that out of, I don't know that it really helped much to.
Oh, it makes it worse.
Vanessa's comment is it makes it worse. What did we learn? What we were like at salsa or something? We had something really hot, and you're like, if you put milk or any kind of
milk
liquid
or bread.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So when you get something really hot in your mouth, what helps? Water actually.
Or yogurt.
Yeah, yogurt is good. So that's why in Indian restaurants they serve.
Lemonade and lemon can help.
Mm-hmm. But water is the worst thing you can put in your mouth because it actually spreads the capsicum from the chiles, so it makes it worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember for the ceviche I ate that was very, very spicy. When I tried drinking cold water to help, and I just made myself freezing because I had to drink and it wasn't helping.
Yeah.
No, yeah, any milk product. I mean, like you said, yogurt, sour cream, even cheese, but the liquid ones are easier and faster to work. And then also bread or yeah.
So we're learning all these ways to interrupt the too hot effect in the mouth. Now, so imagine a month later, a year later, someone offers me some Siamese food, some food from Thailand or whatever. What do I say?
No.
I don't like that stuff, right? I didn't even have a little bit of it probably. So I had that kind of a huge huge swing from, oh, I'm bold and I'm confident and I know it all because I'm 7. And I went from that to, I don't like that stuff. Oh, that stuff, it's bad. Are you one of the, oh, God, you like that stuff? Or what? I don't know. I'm actually making it up. I don't know how severe my swing away from naive foolhardiness was. But I assume that I was at least cautious. And I probably was actually like really repulsed by certain kinds of food that once I thought, well, oh, if it's got that label, it's Siamese food? Whoop. No, that's too hot for me. Siamese food? Nope, don't want to try it. I don't like that stuff. So I started to get a reaction to the label. So this is getting into some of the complexity of where we're eventually going to go with the rebirth of curiosity, as I started to associate my fear or my withdrawal with this set of words, Siamese food. Well, I think that was what it was. Other things that I've eaten that were really hot. I got habanero pepper juice in my eye.
Ouch.
once. That's not the thing that you do 5 times. See? I don't know if you guys know about that. But if you do it once, you'll know why you only do it once. Are you familiar with habanero peppers?
I remember once when my mom, we were visiting my mother-in-law, and she was growing peppers, and my mother helped her pick the peppers, and she warned her, not to touch anything, be careful about tasting it or anything, and my mother wound up, when she tasted it, and she's very sensitive, and she's very sensitive in her lips, and they're overburning, and she didn't do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember the first time I tried anything spicy. We didn't eat spicy food at home, and my father had a taco, and he offered me a bite, and I didn't expect it to be spicy, and I kind of thought twice before I tried it again in the future.
So I knew that the peppers I was dealing with were hot. In the case of the Siamese food, I was warned, and I boldly,
Ignored it.
I'm sure I was drawing attention to myself. I mean, I think my plan was that the people sitting right next to me, the kids, in class, they would go, "Oh, wow, he's so brave," or whatever. That was the reaction I was going for. But ultimately, I drew a lot of attention to myself. But with regard to the habanero pepper, there was no one around me. I was cutting up peppers to use on something that would be baked. And I got some of the juice was on my finger because, I'd hold it and then cut it, right? So I'd get some on the hand that was holding the pepper. And it wasn't much, but I wiped my face or I wiped my eye or something, just like I was, I don't know what I was doing exactly, but somehow I got a little bit of it in my eye, and I spent the next 15 or 20 minutes with my eye under a faucet. Yeah, I actually stuck my head under a faucet and had the water pouring on that eye. Now that I think about it, I actually recall this. I remember, this is a weird little detail, but the TV show Kung Fu was on, and I went in the other room. Eventually, when I got away from the faucet, I wrapped up a washcloth with really cold water and put it on my eye. Across my eyes, and then I listened to the TV show for a while, and then I got to one point. Only one of my eyes was puffy, and the other eye was now basically normal and not in pain. So I had one eye open, watched some more of the show, and then eventually, it wasn't like I was injured for weeks. It was relatively short amount of time, but it was very remarkable, very notable. When I had kidney stones that I mentioned earlier, I was extremely motivated to look for changes that I could make so that I would not have that experience again, or if I did have that experience again, which in fact I did, that I would know what to do about it. So I did have kidney stones another time. It was much less intense, and part of that was I knew what to sense in my body. I already knew, like, how it started, what, the feelings, that the physical sensations. I knew that those were probably related to kidney stone. And then through the use of heat on my lower back, we basically dissolved the stones before they got very far into my into being passed.